guys, welcome back to the Speed Shed. Craig here. You can probably tell by my voice I'm a little bit sick, have been sick. Sound a bit silly, probably going to cough a lot. My apologies. Bit of an impromptu recording this afternoon. I've just finished work, don't have a microphone on, didn't have a memory card, managed to dig one up, but we're going to run with it anyway. Plan today, sheet of aluminium, cheeky little template for the sump, and that is our sump. So, FG block BABF sump, being forward sump, which is rear in the boat because the motor's back to front. Obviously when we're running, water in the boat, because it's pitching up, is pushing towards the back. So the idea is extra capacity sump like that. We're going to have some gates in there, if you will, doors, baffles, and then we're going to move the pickup back further towards the back so that it's picking up more water, more oil I should say, as it's going, as the boat is going. So, I don't know if you can see that, but the pickup currently goes onto that bolt, which we've got removed. We're going to try and move that back down to this one here, just to get it that little bit further back and probably a bit more centralised in the pan. Hopefully get that to pick up a bit more oil as the boat pitches and maybe cause a bit less dramas. Anyway, we'll get stuck into it.
At this stage I've actually built the pan of the sump, but I ran out of memory card space, so I didn't get to record that section. So it's just fabricating up the actual baffles and trapdoors here.
One handy tool I do find myself using a fair bit is a deburring tool. Commonly used for PVC pipes and things like that, but also taking a sharp edge off aluminium is pretty good. A bit more. There we go, done. Alright, so what I've ended up doing, I've got some hinge from Bunnings, which I've separated. I've taken the wire out of it, just to allow the wire to be a bit longer so that we can put some bends on the end so it doesn't come out. So that's sort of what we're going for there, which is flexes pretty good. That's one that I'm sort of in the middle of making, and I've ended up cutting the baffle into 4 pieces. I was going to do it as one single piece just to, prevent a bit of welding, but just going to be easier to bend for me considering the tools that I've got here if it's in several different pieces. So the hinge will sit over like that, she'll get tacked on, and that was the other thing with doing it in 4 pieces. I can tack that hinge on and that sort of thing and then weld it all together. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier doing it as single pieces. Alright, so you can see, made baffle, complete with trapdoors, which seem to work. I've notched that out for the pickup line, the oil pump pickup line, so
that's pretty much where we're at. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it should do. So now I'll tack that in and should be sweet. So this is our completed sump. Obviously it's been taken off the motor. Wings on the sides. And our pickup box there, which has the baffles inside, and we've had to modify just this part down here where the pickup tube goes just a little bit. It was just touching, so I had to widen that out a bit, but other than that, it's as we sort of showed earlier in the videos. There's obviously a bit of old oil in the bottom which has sort of come out of the motor as we transported it, but those baffles seem to work pretty good by the looks from what we've seen. So still got a few things to do there. I use this as a oil sight indicator sort of thing, so I don't have to run a dipstick because I'm running a BABF sump on a FG block, so I'd have to re-drill the block to put a dipstick in there. But being in a boat, I can see it on the side, so it's not too bad. So we just use that as an oil level indicator. Just got to put another fitting on the elbow on the bottom there. Going to weld on a fitting for the turbo return back onto the sump there. Just get a bit of leaking with that fitting. So just to alleviate those issues, just that O-ring is sometimes a pain to seal up. So do that. I'm going to put just a bung there in the top so I can suck the oil out, because obviously being in a boat it's hard to get to the bottom to drain the actual sump pan itself. So I'm going to put an O-ring bore plug there, and then we can just pull that out and then suck it out with a vacuum pump. And then either on this side or the other side, just here or on the top or somewhere, going to have a return for the catch tank. So whatever comes out of the breathers will go up into the catch can, and then we'll run a return line down, probably the other side being on the intake, bit easier than trying to get around the exhaust manifold, and that'll sort of come in, and then we'll have a check valve on that so it can drain back when it's idling, sort of thing, all turned off. So a few little things to go still, but for the most part it's pretty well done. Alright, well that's pretty much a wrap for episode 3. Hopefully that's of some use to someone, taking into account that I'm not an engineer, I'm not a welder, I'm not a fabricator, just a guy that likes having a crack at doing things myself. Most of the time that works out for me, so but not always, so we'll see what happens once we put the sump back on the boat, and hopefully that works out. I did sort of do some research on sumps and baffled pans and trapdoors and all that sort of thing. I've sort of loosely designed it off a Moroso, I think they call it a road race baffle. So it's sort of designed to stop, I suppose, sloshing forwards, backwards and side to side. So because I don't just do circle track work, i.e. racing, then I sort of wanted to be able to sort of stop that slosh each way, really. And the circle, or road race as they called it, was their sort of designed to do that. So I sort of tried to loosely copy that idea, and hopefully that works out for me, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, as usual, if you've enjoyed the episode, feel free to like and subscribe. We've got another episode coming up next week. We'll be checking out a different boat, and then we'll have a bit more stuff coming out after that as well. Alright, thanks everyone.